Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Ajnanandatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurgurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदातिकम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते देवामृता स्वामी इति नामने प्रचारपूर्वदक्षं च भक्ता च प्रवीणता परार्थतापिकारणे यस्य सर्वते नमः ॐ नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी इति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी प्रचास्त देश धारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंद Om Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasindhubhaya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Devotees will start with the Chatur of Bhagavatam. This is very good to hear the Chatur important four slokas, uh, kind of summarizes the essence of Bhagavad Gita. This is in 10 chapters. 10.8 Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitha. Translation: I am the source of all spiritual material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this engage in my pure devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. This is Bhagavan Krishna, Sri Krishna talking to Arjuna. And 10.9 Machchitta Madhyata Prana Bodhayantasya Parasparam Katayantasya Mam Nityam Dushyanti Charamanchita. The thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me. Their lives are purely devoted to my service, and they derive greatest satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another in the Srimad Bhagavatam class and Bhagavad Gita classes, just like what we are having today. And 10.10, Tesham Satati Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogantam Niyamam Rupayantite. Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they have come to me. And 10.11, this is the fourth Chatusloki Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita, yes. Tesam evanukam partam aham ajnana jam tamaha nasayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvara. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the born darkness born of ignorance. And then let's read the two important Kunti prayers, which is glorifying Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lord, who has become son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda Maharaja, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavana, and the enlivener of cows and senses. Namo Pankajanabhaya, Namo Pankajamaline, Namo Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. My respectful obeisance unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. That's a beautiful prayer Kunti Maharani gives to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That is in the first canto, chapter 8. Wonderful. So we're going to talk about 14th chapter. This is the Sankhya Yoga, modes of three different three different modes of nature. This is a very important chapter, and we're going to talk about 22 to 25 verses today. And we will give some outline of what we're talking about, Bhagavad Gita, what this means actually. So in Bhagavad Gita is a life manual. It's life, both importantly, the eternal life is the spiritual self of us, manual for that. And also the body of Bhagavan Krishna sees this material energy. And we will borrow the lens of Bhagavan Sri Krishna's through this knowledge, and we'll see our material nature and see this world and align ourselves into our constitutional position called serving the Supreme Lord. Just like how in the modern context, Jesus always talked about his Father. He always loved his Father. That's the pure devotee. So how we can turn into like a pure devotee by aligning ourselves to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita talks about, as we all know, five important things. There's Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, the Jiva, the living entity. We are all living entities. Prakriti, the material nature. Kala, the time. And Karma, the action, reaction. And here, Bhagavad Gita is divided into three sections. Section 1, chapter 1 to 6 chapters, attaining the bhakti through karma yoga. And then chapter 7 to 12, the middle section, is purely devoted to bhakti yoga. In chapter 13 to 18, these are the 6 chapters called bhakti through jnana. And also this is Sankhya philosophy comes in here. And then this is the only chapter in Bhagavad Gita where Bhagavan Sri Krishna, without Arjuna being asked any single question, goes and describes these three modes. But this is a continuation of the question that Arjuna asked from the previous chapters. So if you think about Arjuna's questions, 13 chapters, Arjuna asked about these six important things. The nature, the enjoyer, the Purusha, the Kshetram, the field, Kshetragnam, the knower of the field, Jnanam, the knowledge, Jnayam, the object of the knowledge. So, and then most importantly, the nature, the enjoyer was already discussed before, but this is the 4 important things he wanted Bhagavan Sri Krishna to describe. They start out in the 13th chapter. We'll also see where the connection from 13 to 14th chapter. So here, like we talked about, Bhagavan Krishna's worldview of Sankhya. This was actually Bhagavan Krishna as a Kapila Muni in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, had exclusively about 10 chapters where Kapila Muni talks to his mother, Devahuti, in that section. That's kind of summarized here in the chapter 13 of Sri Krishna. So what is the Sankhya in a nutshell? Sankhya is opposite, diametrically opposite to science. Science, where you would have more comforts and more bondage because you develop the technology, material for comfort, physical comfort. So they become a raga. You are attached to you, like just like the cell phone, the technology. And the Sankhya, where you will see where is the everything comes from, where we come from, what is our essential nature, what is our true purpose and value in life. When you understand that, that's where you would have renunciation or tyaga. So this is timeless as well as timely knowledge. This is not the one-time thing. This is not a set of data. This is actually how you perceive the world through this. This is the attitude of looking at the world through this knowledge. So there's a 6 concepts which is bedrocks for the Sankhya philosophy, uh, like we talked about, and also the modes of material nature. We'll see where the connection for this is. So in one of the particular verse in chapter 13, Bhagavan Sri Krishna addresses this. So chapter 6 to 7, Sankhya philosophy in nutshell, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about Pancha Mahabhutas. There's air, water, ether, fire. These are Pancha Mahabhutas. Senses, acquiring senses, knowledge acquiring senses, working senses, sense objects, and tongue. These are all constitute 20 elements. And then what are the 4 elements? The subtle, mind, intelligence, false ego, are the 3 subtle elements, and plus unmanifested 3 modes of material nature. There's mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. This is where Bhagavan Sri Krishna introduces the mode of material, modes of material nature. This is what he explains in detail in the 14th chapter. This all becomes 24 elements, and then we have Kshetrajna, the individual soul, and the Paramatma, the super soul. And here, and also Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the chapter, the 13th chapter, verses 8 to 12, also discusses about the 20 process of knowledge. Out of them, he discusses about Allah, unalloyed devotional service, which is the key. If you have this, and all other 20 different process of knowledge, this automatically comes. And what are these 20 different process of knowledge acquiring? The important thing is constant unalloyed devotional service, Avyabhicharani Bhakti, like we mentioned previously. And how do we get that? The seed of bhakti is given by approaching bona fide spiritual master. And other 18 of them, humility, pridefulness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil, birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with matter, even mindedness and pleasant and unpleasant for the events, aspiring to life in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, philosophical search for absolute truth. These are all these 20 knowledge process of 20 process of knowledge. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says these are all the knowledge. Anything out of this is ignorance. That's a powerful statement Bhagavan Krishna mentions here. So, if you think about it, the important thing there is this 20 process of knowledge should not be confused with 24 elements we discussed. Because this knowledge, particularly Alaraya devotional service, will get you out of this bondage from these 24 elements, particularly the 3 modes of material nature, that we're going to talk about in chapter 14 in detail. And this is the 1322 verse, is the first verse in 13th chapter. Bhagavan Sri Krishna mentions about in detail about the gunas. Purusha prakriti stauhi bhungte prakriti jan gunam karana guna sangasya sad asad oni janmasu. So the living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to the association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with the good, evil, and among various species. So here we know we are spirit soul. This is eternal. This body is temporary. So in that context, eternally, the soul transmigrates from one species to another species because of soul's bondage with these three modes of material nature. And this verse purport from Srila Prabhupada talks about very important for understanding how the living entities transmigrates from one body to another, as we explained previously from second chapter. So it's just like soul changes one body to another body, just like changing the dress. This change of dress is due to attachment to the material existence. As long as he is captivated by these false manifestations, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another body. So that is also explained in detail through the Sankhya Yoga. Now, Prabhupada continues in that purport how he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to the association with the different modes of nature. And one has to raise, therefore, above these three modes of material nature, situated into transcendental position. That is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another body. That is the key. So that change from attachment to detachment to the material, three modes of material nature, is affected only by hearing from authoritative source. Just like Bhagavad Gita that we are discussing, chapter 14, chapter 13 now, is the cream of essence of all the Vedas. And this is the authoritative source, comes right from the Bhagavan Sri Krishna to his pure devotee, Arjuna. And this is being captured by his Bhagavan Sri Krishna's incarnation, Vyasa, which is in turn translated to English by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. This is the authoritative source. The best example here is Arjuna is hearing from the God himself. The living entity, if he submits to this hearing process with a close, long cherished desire to dominate the material nature, will be cut off. And gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he continues to enjoy spiritual happiness. Because through this transcendental knowledge, you will spiritually happy. In this Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately releases the eternal bliss supplied. And that is, in other words, Western theology talks about heaven on earth. How do you have eternal bliss? And Prabhupada continues here, due to the desire to lord it over the material nature, he puts it into undesirable circumstances under the influence of material desires. And the entity born sometimes as a demigod, sometimes a man, sometimes as a bird, sometimes as a bug. This is going on. And in all the class of living entity, thinks himself to be the master of circumstances. Yet he is under the influence of more of nature, this more of nature. So we are not free. We are being conditioned or bonded by this more of material nature. And this is not Bhagavan Krishna or his external energy. Durga is voluntarily doing this. This is because of our free will. To the extent we are away from Bhagavan Sri Krishna's constitutional position of our servanthood, we would automatically embrace these three modes. And that is the equation there. So now come to chapter 14. That's the brief introduction of chapter 13. So Bhagavan Krishna, chapter 14 that we discussed, from 1 to 4, he discussed how we are placed in this material nature. And then, verse 5 in chapter 14, also introduces here again more of material natures, three modes. And 6 to 9, he explains the characteristics of the mode that we learn. What is the mode of goodness? What is the mode of passion? What is the mode of ignorance? And then, if you see in chapter the text 5, the material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with the nature, O mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. And in the 6th verse, he discusses, O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode becomes conditioned by sense of happiness, knowledge, is bound to material fruitive actions. So now mode of goodness is also conditioning. So just like passion is conditioning. In verse 7, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about the mode of passion is born out of unlimited desires of longing, O son of Kunti. Because of this embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive activities. And then verse 8, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about the mode of darkness or ignorance, the delusion of all the embodied living entities. The result of this mode is madness, indolence, sleep, which binds the conditional souls. And the verse 9, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to the happiness, passion, conditions one to the fruitive actions, just like we discussed about. Ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to mode of madness. So text 10, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about sometimes mode of goodness become prominent, defeating the other three modes. Sometimes passion defeats the other two modes, and similarly the ignorance. So they're all in a competition always. You don't see one pure goodness or pure ignorance or pure passion. Even the day and night times also based upon these modes. For example, the early morning hours, Brahma Muhurta is more of goodness, and during the daytime, more of passion. That's where we'll see all the traffic, rush, work, busy, and all of those. And more of ignorance is the nighttime. And similarly, our moods also changes from time to time. So this is a dynamic process. In verse 11, Lord Sri Krishna talks about manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by the knowledge. So through the knowledge, as we our faith goes more and more stronger into association of the devotees through the authorities, just like Bhagavad Gita book we're talking about. And then we will go deeper into bhakti, and then we become more dhira. So that means we get stronger in bhakti, and then all the gates of our body get illuminated with the knowledge. That is eyes, 9 gates, nose, ears, genitals, anus, all of these get illuminated with knowledge. That means you would align yourself to be pure goodness. So on the verse 12, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, O chief of Bharatas, when there is increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, creative activity, intense endeavor, uncontrollable desire, hankering develops. And he gives a metaphor. Prabhupada gives a metaphor how the soul is conditioned to the modes. On the left side, soul you see, and the modes, sattva, rajas, tamo, more of goodness, more of passion, more of ignorance. And these are our consciousness. Soul is, you have three subtle elements: consciousness, mind, and ego. They are being connected through the ropes. It's like ropes are connected to the three modes. The soul is being conditioned by these modes. And it's also another analogy is given is a car's gear, right? Reverse gear, driving gear, like that, right? So similarly, if it's car in a driving gear, it keeps moving forward. And if it's in the reverse gear, it only goes back. Similarly, our modes can bind the soul in one way or the other. Like we discussed about, sattva is clarity, the external and internal mind. Rajas is a mode of passion, is activity, always doing things. And tamas is the lethargy and escape. So we went through this. And the 13th and the 14th to 20th verses, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about when there is an increase in the modes of ignorance, O son of Kunti, darkness, inertia, madness, illusion manifests. And the 14th to 20th, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about the effects of each mode, short term, long term, and medium term. On the 17th, it discusses about modes of goodness, real knowledge develops when the mode of goodness. When the mode of passion, the greed develops. When the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, and illusion develops. And the 18th verse he talks about, Lord Sri Krishna talks about those who are situated in the mode of goodness gradually goes upwards to the higher planets. Those who are in the modes of passion lives in the earthly planets. Those who are in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish lower planetary systems. And the 19th, we learn when one properly sees that in all the activities, no other performer is at work, then these modes of nature, and he knows that the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. So once you have the pure knowledge that we are being conditioned by these modes, and we also have Paramatma in us, which is beyond these modes. When we turn into Paramatma, we automatically shut off or shun off these modes or bondage to the modes, just like onion peel. So we would align ourselves to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That is the real, and that's when you attain his true nature, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about. And the 20th we learn when the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distress, and can enjoy nectar even within this life. Because that's where you would have what you call no anxiety, Vaikunta. Why the name of the Vaikunta? Kunta means anxiety, and Vaikunta. That means right on the earth you will have Vaikunta, because you are in alignment with Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And that is exactly what the pure devotees has demonstrated. Like Prabhupada was on this planet, he demonstrated every his action in the Western Hemisphere, and he traveled to the globe all 12 different times. And the senior devotees relate to that, how he exhibited these qualities even while he was living. So from 21 to 25, I explained how intricately and inexplicably these modes bind to all the material nature. That's what we're going to discuss that those verses, and 26 prepares the bhakti to after that. So now let's read 4 verses today. First verse is Bhagavan Vacha Prakasam Cha Pravitram Cha Moham Eva Cha Pandava Nadvesti Sampravritani Na Nivrittani Kanstani Kanshasti Udasinavat Asino Gunaryona Vichalaye Gunavartana iti evam yo vastitati nengate samadukha sukha swasta sama lotasma ka anchanaha tulya priyo viras tulya nindatma samitusti. The last verse, mana pamanasya tulyas tulyo mitrari pukshayaha sarvaramba parityagi gunati taha sauchyate. It's a long translation. We'll go from section to section, see what we understand these 4 verses. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not illuminate, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they are disappeared, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, he continues, remaining neutral and transcendental, and knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self, and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, or a piece of gold, an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally, well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such person is said to have transcendent to the modes of nature. And there is also another verse, comes very important verse in 529, Pandita Samadarshanaha. So there in that verse, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about a sage has equal vision and sees the soul in the pious person, the dog eater, elephant, and the plant. So all of these living entities all have a soul. So the pious person has equal vision. That's exactly what Sri Krishna repeating here again. And let's go to Srimad Bhagavatam, very nice verse here in the 3rd canto, where Kapila Muni talking to his mother, Devahuti, Chetas Kalva Asya Bandhaya Muktaye Cha Atmano Matham Guneshu Saktam Bandhaya Ratam Va Pumsi Muktaye. I think, yeah, right there we are here. And then let's do the translation of that. the stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by three modes of material nature is called conditional life. See how beautifully it is described. But when the same consciousness is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation. We had, Prabhupada gave an analogy how our consciousness through the ropes is bind to the material modes. If you have in the first portion of this translation, in that stage, consciousness is bind attracted to the three modes through these ropes, and then you are conditional life. And we, through the Shastra, Sadhu, through Guru, through the Bhakti, we direct ourselves to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically will lose that bondage from three modes of material nature. That's beautifully described in the third canto by Kapila Muni through his mother, Devahuti. So now let's go to the purport of this 42 to 45. Prabhupada discusses. So Arjuna submitted three different questions here, and the Lord answers them one after the other. In these verses, Krishna first indicates that a person transcendently situated has no envy and does not hanker for anybody, right? That we discussed in detail. Now I want to make sure we went there, we come here. And then the next slide, purport Prabhupada talks about when a living entity stays in this material world, embodied by the material body, it is to be understood that he is under the control of one of the three modes, or all of them sometimes, because we also heard that they compete of the material nature. When he is actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of material nature. Right? Let's keep reading. But as long as he is not out of the material body, he should be neutral. He should engage himself in the devotional service of Lord, so that his identity with material body is automatically forgotten. So if you are not in devotional service, automatically what you are being bound by these three modes of material nature. And that's the key understanding we need to have. So let's keep reading the purport. When one is consciousness of material body, he acts only for sense gratification. But when one transfers the consciousness to Krishna, the sense gratification automatically stops. And that is exactly what we also read in third canto, 3:25-15, right? So our consciousness can only pay one, can only one on. Our mind can consciousness can only hang on to one thing, either material body or Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So Vaisheshika Prabhu from ISKCON Silicon Valley uses one term called the most precious term in the entire the material world. What is the very important what do you call it, energy, or important if you want to have the most important thing that you have in your possession is attention span. So all the social media, everything is grabbing your attention. Everybody is trying to grab your attention. So the attention is your the biggest asset in life. So where the attention goes, the energy flows. Vaishnavi Prabhu says. That's exactly what in the purport Prabhupada is translating. So one does not need this material body, and he does not need to accept the conditions of material body, right? The next question, the next concern, the dealings of transcendentally situated person. The materially situated person is affected by the so-called honor, dishonor offered to the body, but the transcendently situated person is not affected by such false honor, dishonor. So if you are attached to three modes of material, our consciousness is attached to that, and you have all this honor. If somebody says something and it is honorable or dishonorable, you react to that. Whereas your consciousness is transcendently situated by Bhagavan Shri Krishna's service, and you are in a pure state, just like Prabhupada. So he performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors. So the qualities of material modes in the body will act, but as a spirit soul, the self is aloof. From such activities, how does he becomes aloof? He does not desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. The transcendently situated and the devotee becomes automatically free. So he need not try to become free from the influence of mode of material nature. So what it really boils down to one, you choose Krishna's association, the material association automatically shuts off. We discussed that. And then he accepts the things that is the person who is transcendently situated accepts the things that are favorable, but for his duty of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, he has no necessity for anything material, either a stone or gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend. That's the person who is transcendently situated, who helps him in his execution of Krishna consciousness. And that's exactly what Prabhupada did. It doesn't matter where you come from. And as long as you're serving Krishna, he open-handedly accepted it. I heard one story. Well, this happened when Prabhupada was here in San Diego temple. There is a person, he was stinky, he was not shabby, his hair was not kept. He was trying to come into the temple. Devotees were trying to not to get into the temple because he was not clean. So one day, this person, when the Prabhupada comes out of the temple to go into walk, and this person comes and catch hold of Prabhupada's feet, and he don't want to leave. And Prabhupada asked him, who is this person? Prabhupada, we were trying to get him out of this place. No, take him inside and give him a nice bath, give him good clothes, and I'll come and talk to him. And he became one of the purest, biggest devotees in the moment. And his father was wealthy in that neighborhood. He was an attorney. And just like this example, Prabhupada, whoever comes in with the devotion to Krishna, with the service attitude, sincerity in their mind, he accepted them. So social, political issues do not affect him. Just like Prabhupada, it didn't affect any social or political issues for him because he knows the situation of temporary upheavals and disturbances. He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna's sake. But for his personal self, he does not attempt anything. By such behavior, one becomes automatically transcendently situated. This is exactly example of what Prabhupada was when he was on this planet spreading Krishna consciousness, and how he had a worldwide movement. We are all part of that. We are still talking about we were introduced to Bhagavan Sri Krishna because of Prabhupada. So that is the 22 to 25 verses. The persons who are transcendently situated or who are materially bound. We had a nice connection to Bhagavad Gita 5.29. Bhagavan Sri Krishna talked about Pandita Samadarshana, and also Bhagavan Kapila in 3.25, Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.15 also mentioned to his mother Devahuti, if your consciousness is bind to three modes, you are materially bound. You will elevate yourself to connect your consciousness to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, your attention span to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, you are liberated, transcendently situated. And that brings to the 26th verse in this chapter, three modes. Bhagavan Sri Krishna connects to bhakti again. So, Mam Chayo Vibhicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatitya Samatityan Brahma Bhuyaya Thopate. So one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahma. So that is the key. So how do we get to that state? And I am the 27th, Lord Shri Krishna talks about this, the last verse in this chapter that you're going to learn the next day or two. And I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Dear devotees, so we went through from chapter 13, summary, and all the connection from chapter 13 to chapter 14 about the three modes of material nature. So if somebody is reacting to me the way they're reacting, it's not because of them, because of their association with the modes. And that knowledge for me to come and to materially utilize, it takes a journey. So the more I read, more I associate with the devotees, and particularly Bhagavan Sri Krishna's knowledge. We are basically using the Bhagavan Sri Krishna's knowledge, how Prabhupada translated, and all our senior devotees in ISKCON, and our gurus, mercy, and all the way up to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, Nityananda Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, so we can have that knowledge and put that into practice. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he beautifully started the Sankirtana movement 500 years ago. And he resurrected the chanting of the holy names of the Lord through Mahamantra. And this is the main key of how do we purify our consciousness? How do you make our consciousness, attention of consciousness, grab towards Krishna? Because our consciousness now is materially conditioned to the three modes. And to the extent we align ourselves by chanting, that's the number one process Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought to light. And he said 500 years ago that this Sankirtana movement spread all over the world. Every village and town, Radha Krishna's names, Mahamantra will be spread. And that's exactly what Prabhupada took to the heart, and he spread it all over the world. And how do we do that? You start with the bead, Tulsi bead, there's 108 beads, This is the head bead, and you start from there and chant each bead. And when you have, and you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So how do you chant that? You chant that in the bead bag, and we also have a counter bead. So here you can count each time when you finish the one round of this entire mala, this one. So like that, people who are more serious about Bhakti Yoga, they chant at least minimum 16 rounds, like Prabhupada's order. He's founder Acharya of ISKCON. So anybody who comes associated with ISKCON, Prabhupada instructs, if they want to seriously in Bhakti, you chant 16 rounds. And also Prabhupada says, the number one time that you can chant is in Brahma Muhurta. We also discussed about earlier, Brahma Muhurta is more of goodness. There's an hour and a half before sunrise. That's normally is 4:30 a.m. We have Mangalarti in the temple. After Mangalarti, we can start chanting 16 rounds. And then daily chanting, right? And then 4 regulated principles, Prabhupada says. 4 regulated principles get you to the human platform. So what are the 4 regulated principles? Number 1, no meat eating. Number 2, no illicit drugs, any kind of mind-altering intoxication. Number 3, no gambling. Number 4, no illicit sex. So these are all the distractors. These are all the entire modern world is surviving on all of these things that we were talking about. So we need to get away from this, purify our body. Don't put any drugs, no drugs, none of those, no smoking, none of those drugs. So what happens is your consciousness purifies, cleanses it up. And when you have these 4 regulated principles, you come to the human platform. Otherwise, Shastra says we are not in a human platform. We are below the human platform because we're dependent on these substances we are talking about. So then what happens is you are on the human platform, and then you start to chant, and your consciousness get purified. The Maha Mantra directly comes from the spiritual world. This is the spiritual sound. And also in the Sankhya Yoga, Kapila Muni talks about how the sound is the beginning. And then the ether comes. Sound is the subtler. Even the Western theology, they talk about in the beginning of the world, there's a sound. So sound is the key. Sound is the sabda is the key from the material to spiritual. From the sound, you have ether. From the ether, air. From the air, you have fire, wood, and earth, and water. Right? So from subtler sound, you got a grosser material. This is Sankhya Yoga. So how do you clean up your the gross conditioning? By chanting. When you chant, you associate with Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So when you chant, Prabhupada also talks about how do you chant? When you chant, you listen. So when you chant through the tongue, you listen. And your mind goes somewhere here or there and bring it back to listen. And that is how we clear our chitta, which is our consciousness. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the beautiful way we can clear our chitta, clear our consciousness. So that while we keep doing it every day, it all accumulates. And how you also would clean up even more, and you come to the association of devotees. Like in the morning, we have from 7:45 to 8:30, or 45 minutes an hour, we have Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. This is Srimad Bhagavatam is written by Vedavyasa. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about he is the compiler of all the Vedas. This is Srimad Bhagavatam is like this. So we were discussing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam written by Vedavyasa, all the devotee stories, and you associate. And then also, the more importantly, you come to one of the biggest event that happens in this year is Ratha Yatra, where Lord Krishna, Jagannath, Baladeva, and Subhadra, right, goes to the entire city of Los Angeles and Venice Beach, give darshan to everyone. That's the best way you can associate and clear your consciousness, to get closer to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And the other important occasion is on Sunday. Sunday we have lunch, love feast. We have nice prasadam distributed. Nice discourse will happen. These are the events where you can get yourself in, associate either through online or the more better is come to the temple, have Lord Rukmini, Dwarkadhish darshan. And that is another way to purify our consciousness. So these are the ways your bhakti process will continue to grow. More importantly, I want to live with you is chanting. Chanting Mahamantra is this Yuga Dharma, according to Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, all Gauda Vaishnava, all Acharyas talks about in our Gauda Vaishnava Parampara system is the Kali Yuga process is chanting the holy names. So with that, devotees, I wanted you to take this to the heart, chant holy names, and read Bhagavad Gita, watch daily, or come to association of daily the evening class here that happens. And that way, you will learn Bhagavan Sri Krishna's knowledge, purifies your consciousness, and that is nothing but Bhakti Yoga. And wherever this Bhakti Yoga, we're discussing about Bhagavan Krishna, and that is where Bhagavan Sri Krishna is there, not in any other places. That's what Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about. So with that, I would sign off. I would highly encourage you, chant daily and come to this Sunday noon lecture. With that, signing off. Hare Krishna.